There's something different about you. And it's not just in the way you look, or the way you carry yourself. It's in the weight you bring into a room. It's in the stillness of your spirit when everyone else is busy performing. While the world is obsessed with being loud, flashy seen, you, somehow, have found the power in being quiet. And that quietness, that stillness, it's not weakness. It's presence. It's something the world can't quite name, but everyone feels it when you walk by. You don't beg for attention. Not because you don't care, but because you've already found what you were seeking. And here's the truth most people won't say out loud. There is a kind of beauty that cannot be photoshopped, cannot be faked, and cannot be bought. It is the kind of beauty that's been carved by fire, by loss, by forgiveness, by learning to smile through closed doors and broken hearts. That's the kind of beauty you carry now. You don't speak much, but when you do, people listen. Not because you talk louder than them, but because you talk deeper. There's gravity in your words. There's time in your eyes. There's a knowing in your soul that doesn't just speak to people. It speaks through them, and maybe you've wondered why people stop and stare. Not just at your face, but at your calm. It's because they feel something ancient in you, something divine, something that reminds them of who they used to be before the world told them who they had to become. You've spent enough years trying to prove yourself. You've auditioned for people who didn't have the authority to cast you. You've apologized for your strength, softened your voice, dimmed your light so others could shine. But something happened over time. Something shifted. One day you woke up, and the performance felt exhausting. The pretending became heavy, and for the first time, you started walking in rooms without shrinking. Not to dominate, but to simply be. And that, right there, was the shift. You don't chase anymore. Not because you don't feel, but because you finally understand that what's meant for you moves toward you. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth when you've finally accepted it yourself. You stopped needing to be chosen when you realized you've already been set apart. And the world doesn't know what to do with a woman like that. A woman who carries history in her bones, resilience in her back, and clarity in her steps. A woman who no longer flirts for attention, but carries herself like a sanctuary. Quiet, sacred, not open to just anyone. A woman who doesn't confuse approval with love. She knows the difference now, and the moment she stopped needing validation was the moment she became undeniable. Let me tell you something that may sound strange in today's culture, but I believe you already feel it deep down. This confidence you carry, it's not natural. It's supernatural. It's not just experience. It's not just age. It's favor. It's wisdom poured like oil over your life. It's the kind of confidence that only comes when you've been broken and rebuilt. It's not performative. It's prophetic. You were never meant to compete with younger women. You were meant to show them what's next. You were never meant to chase trends. You were meant to set the standard. The reason you don't fit into shallow spaces anymore is because you were never designed for them. Your soul has outgrown small talk. Your spirit craves truth. And you don't have time to entertain energy that isn't holy. Some people will misunderstand this season of your life. They'll call it solitude, but it's sanctification. They'll call it aging, but it's awakening. You're not fading. You're clarifying. Every line on your face is a chapter. Every scar a sermon. Every silence a sacred decision. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to show to be seen. Because your life speaks. And what it says cannot be ignored. So, if you've ever doubted your beauty, if you've ever looked in the mirror and wondered if time has taken too much from you, hear me now. You are not less. You are more revealed. And the world is finally catching up to what heaven already saw. You don't need the spotlight. You are the light. There comes a time in every woman's life when the games stop working. When charm without depth starts to feel like noise. When the late replies, the hot and cold behavior, the breadcrumbing, the mind games, no longer thrill you, they drain you. And it's not because you've grown cold. It's because you've grown clear. You've lived long enough to understand this one sacred truthing. Confusion is not romantic. It's warfare. When someone keeps you guessing, it's not mystery. It's manipulation. And you've been through too much, prayed through too much, survived too much to keep tying your soil to people who only know how to love you halfway. There was a time, maybe not so long ago, when you used to mistake emotional chaos for passion. You'd tell yourself, if it's this intense, it must be real. But real doesn't make you anxious. Real doesn't keep you up at night wondering if you're enough. Real doesn't apologize for hurting you and then repeat it again next week. That's not real. That's a trap. See, there's a difference between healing and hiding. And for years, you called your overgiving loyalty. You called your silence patience. You thought, if I just love them better, they'll treat me better. But love is not meant to be a gamble. Love does not demand your peace as the price of entry. And the God who called you by name never asked you to be an emotional hostage in the name of romance. You've come through fire. You've come through heartbreak. You've had moments where you've wept in silence, wondering if this is all love could ever be. Uncertainty wrapped in charm. But no more, because the fire that once threatened to consume you, it refined you, and now your discernment has become your deliverance. You've stopped asking, does he like me? And started asking, does he see me? Does he cover me? Does he bring peace? Or is he just a distraction with a pretty smile? You're no longer fooled by charisma. You look for character now. You listen to tone, to timing, to how someone speaks to you when they don't want to be corrected. Because maturity taught you anyone can say they love you, but not everyone can handle you. You used to believe love was proven through endurance. How much you could endure, how long you could wait, how deep you could hurt and still stay. But love is not proven in your suffering. It's proven in their consistency. It's in how they protect your heart when you're not in the room. In how they pursue peace when conflict arises. In how they honor you not just in public, but in the secret places where no one is watching. And yes, it hurt to realize that some of the people you loved most were the ones least capable of loving you back. But that revelation wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to free you. It was heaven whispering, you've outgrown this. You've graduated. Now stop shrinking to fit spaces that can't contain your soul. You've learned to walk away now, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. Not because you don't care, but because you finally understand your peace is not up for negotiation. You refuse to keep dancing with dysfunction just to avoid being alone. Because being alone in truth is better than being together in a lie. This is the season where your no will be more powerful than your yes. Where your silence will speak louder than your begging ever did. Because now you know you are not hard to love. You're just not meant to be handled carelessly. And let's be honest. Some people were never confused. They knew you were rare. They just hoped you didn't know it yet. But now you do. Now, the illusion is broken. The fog has lifted. And you finally see things as they are, not as you wished them to be. This is your wake-up call, your pivot point, your sacred moment of alignment. From here on out, you don't chase peace. You choose it. You don't tolerate confusion. You expose it. You don't beg to be loved. You remember that you already are. So if they can't love you in clarity, in truth and peace, then they were never sent to keep you, only sent to teach you. Let them teach. Let them go. And let you rise. There was a time, maybe not too long ago, when you would enter a room and wonder if you were enough. You'd scan the space, trying to read faces, trying to feel wanted. You adjusted your posture, softened your tone, overthought every word, just to feel seen. You laughed a little louder, dressed a little brighter, maybe even flirted a little harder. Not because you lacked value, but because somewhere along the line, you were taught to earn attention like it was a currency. But something shifted. Not all at once. It came in waves. A breakup that shattered you, a silence that stretched too long, a moment in the mirror when even your own reflection felt tired of pretending. And in that quiet, in that hollow place where no applause could reach, you heard something sacred. Not a voice from outside, but a knowing from within. You are not here to chase light. You are here to be it. You see, you used to flirt. You used to seek. You used to audition. But now, you radiate, because something eternal has awakened in you. Something that doesn't need to be invited. It announces itself. And that glow, it isn't foundation, contour, or charm. It's freedom. It's the residue of healing. It's the fragrance of someone who's been through the fire but came out fragrant, not burnt. People may ask, what's different about her? It's not your outfit. It's not your makeup. It's not your age-defying skin. It's the oil. It's the anointing. It's the years you gave in silence, when no one clapped, when no one stayed, when all you had was tears and truth. And still you stood. Still you became. There is a rare kind of woman rising in this hour. A woman no longer driven by validation, but by revelation. She doesn't wait for someone to tell her she's beautiful. She walks like someone who knows she's been designed. Not for display, but for destiny. Not for competition, but for communion. You see, the moment you stopped asking, "Am I still attractive?" you stepped into divine clarity. Because even the question is flawed. You were never meant to measure yourself by the eyes of the unqualified.
You are not still
Attractive. That would imply your best days are behind you. No. You're just getting started. You've graduated from being admired to being remembered. From being looked at to being listened to. Because the kind of beauty you carry now can't be filtered. It can't be scrolled past. It's not loud. It's not desperate. It's undeniable. You don't enter a room to be chosen. You carry the room because you know who chose you already. And here's the truth most people avoiding when a woman becomes free from the need to be wanted. She becomes dangerous to every system that once fed on her insecurity. She sees through the flattery. She hears past the compliments. She's no longer moved by attention. She's anchored in purpose. That's what makes you luminous. And yes, some people will be uncomfortable around you now. They won't know how to define you anymore. They used to be able to categorize you. Pretty, quiet, too much. But now you've slipped through their grasp. Because you've transcended labels. You've become a signal. A living reminder that aging is not fading. It's intensifying. You're no longer just attractive. You are attracting. And not everyone who is drawn to your light deserves access to your fire. So be wise. Don't dim to comfort those who are threatened by your brightness. Don't shrink for spaces that were never built for your expansion. If your radiance offends them, let it. This is your era. Not to bleg, but to burn. Not with arrogance, but with clarity. Not to impress, but to express. Because the glory resting on your life now cannot be explained through logic. It's spiritual. It's sacred. It's sovereign. So when they ask what your secret is, you won't need to explain. Your life is the sermon. Your presence is the answer. You've become a lighthouse, not a lifeboat. You're not here to rescue anyone who refuses to swim. You're here to shine until the right ones find the shore. And let this be etched in the marrow of your soul. You didn't stop seeking attention because you gave up. You stopped because you finally remembered. You were the spotlight all along. You've been through enough to know not every smile is sincere and not every connection is holy. And with time and pain, you've learned the difference. There was a season when smooth talk pulled you in. A charming word, a well-timed compliment, a gentle touch. It was all so carefully crafted, so convincing. And you wanted to believe it. Who wouldn't? Every heart desires to be cherished. But now you see clearer. You've learned that intimacy without integrity is not connection. It's confusion in disguise. It's not love. It's spiritual erosion. It chips away at your discernment. It wears down your standards. It makes you second-guess the very voice that was placed in you to protect you. But you've outgrown that now. You don't just want closeness. You want covenant. You don't just want affection. You want alignment. Because you know this now. Not everyone who touches your body is safe for your soul. And that lesson didn't come cheap. It came through nights where you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling both full and empty at the same time. It came through kisses that felt warm but left your spirit cold. It came through tears you couldn't even explain. Because technically, you weren't hurt but spiritually, something sacred was violated. That's when it hit you. Love isn't just about how someone makes you feel. It's about what they build or break inside you. And when you're dealing with someone who lacks integrity, you'll always feel unstable. You'll always be on edge, guessing, doubting, shrinking. Why? Because your spirit knows what your emotions haven't caught up with yet. You're not safe. You've been through that fire. You've touched counterfeit intimacy and realized it always costs more than it gives. And now, you are done exchanging your peace for temporary attention. You are done justifying energy that leaves you drained. You are done giving your presence to people who only value your body, but fear your mind, resist your growth, and cannot bear the weight of your truth. You've reached the place of holy discernment, where your spirit alarms before your heart attaches, where red flags aren't brushed aside. They're respected, where you no longer sit at tables that feed your loneliness more than your purpose. Because you don't just want to be held, you want to be honored. You want words that match actions, presence that doesn't disappear after pleasure, accountability that shows up when feelings fade. You want truth even when it stings. You want consistency, not performance. That's what maturity does. It rewrites your definition of love. It reveals that chemistry without character is a trap. It exposes how easily you once confused emotional intensity for spiritual connection. But intensity alone doesn't sustain. Without honesty, without humility, without reverence for your heart, it collapses. And let's be honest, there was a time when even you ignored the warnings. You saw the signs. You felt the unease. But you stayed. Maybe you thought you could change them. Maybe you thought your love could fix what only truth could confront. But you're not in that place anymore. You don't want to fix people. You want to walk with the healed. Or at least with those committed to the healing journey. So now, you ask different questions. Not, does he love me? But does he respect what God is doing in me? Not, is he perfect? But, is he submitted, surrendered, serious? Because you're not building fantasies anymore. You're building a future. And that future has no space for manipulation wrapped in compliments. For lust disguised as love. For situationships that demand intimacy but offer no integrity. This is not about being guarded. This is about being guided. This is about honoring your body as sacred space. Your time as a divine investment. Your love as a holy offering. Not to be cast before those who don't know its worth. Let the world keep celebrating casual. You are being called into covenant. Let them say you're too much. You are too much for the small-hearted and half-present. And you're done apologizing for that. You're not hard to love. You're just not made for the ones who treat love like a game. You're not broken. Stronger, clearer, wiser. And when you finally meet someone who knows what to do with your depth, they won't be scared of your fire. They'll be drawn to your light. Until then, keep your peace, guard your spirit, and remember, it is better to be alone in truth than entangled in a lie that calls itself love. There's a moment in your life, a turning point, where the need to be chosen starts to feel like a burden, like something too heavy to carry. You get tired of proving yourself, tired of shrinking yourself, tired of waiting in invisible lines just to be seen. You wake up one day, and something inside you rises and says, I'm done auditioning. I'm done performing for love that should have found me already. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly but deeply. You start hearing a different rhythm inside of you, one that doesn't match the noise of the world. While others are desperate to be noticed, you begin to crave something pure, something aligned. Being chosen feels good, for a moment, but alignment goes deeper. It doesn't just excite your emotions, it awakens your soul. It doesn't just say, I want you. It says, I see you, I honor you. I'm building something with you. And that's what you've grown into now. You're not looking for chemistry. You're seeking covenant. You don't want to just be liked. You want to be respected. You don't want someone who flatters your ego but forgets your essence. You want someone whose spirit agrees with yours. Someone whose presence brings peace, not pressure. Purpose, not confusion. See, there's a sacred distinction between loved and being aligned. Love is everywhere. But alignment, that's holy. That's rare. That's why you've been set apart. Not rejected. You weren't abandoned. You were positioned. Not to be chosen by just anyone, but to be recognized by someone who has the capacity to carry the weight of who you are becoming. You're not difficult. You're destined. You're not too much. You're just measured by the wrong hands. And the moment you stopped contorting yourself to fit into spaces that never honored your presence was the moment heaven began to realign everything around you. So now you don't chase love. You attract what matches your level. You don't tolerate disrespect. Because peace is your new standard. You're no longer impressed by attention. You're focused on assignment. You see, this journey has stripped you down. It's peeled away every false version of you that once thought you had to be easy to love, soft enough to please, quiet enough to stay safe. But you're not hiding anymore. You're standing in full truth now. And that truth is demanding more from your relationships. No longer will you accept being half chosen by people who are half sure. No longer will you confuse attention for affection or consistency for calling. No longer will you be celebrated only when you're convenient, then silenced when you speak your truth. Because you've discovered this divine truth, you are not hard to love. You are just unwilling to be handled by hands that haven't been purified. There's a different fire in you now. One that refuses to settle. One that can't be dimmed. And you're not bitter. You're better. You're clearer. You've learned to sit in the silence and still feel secure. You've learned to walk alone and still feel protected. Because alignment taught you that loneliness with God is safer than partnership without peace. And yes, you've said goodbye to people you once thought you'd always have. But don't mourn the absence. Honor the clarity. Every person that couldn't meet your standard was a mirror, not a mistake. They reflected your own growth back to you. They showed you what you no longer need. And now you're ready for something real. The old you would have begged to be seen. The new you sees herself. The old you waited to be picked. The new you walks in purpose, knowing that whoever is meant to run with you doesn't need to be convinced. They'll come already prepared. So let this settle deep in your spirit. You're not just waiting for a partner. You're making room for divine alignment. You're not desperate. You're discerning. You're not behind. You're becoming. And when that alignment finds you, and it will, you won't need to ask if it's real. Peace will testify. Purpose will confirm. And your spirit will know. So until then, stand tall. Guard your gates. Keep growing. Keep shining. Because being chosen feels good, but being aligned, that changes everything.